It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you might be in. Thanks so much for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so excited about my show today. It is April 1st. I am not going to do an April Fool's joke on you. I won't do that, I promise. But I have to tell you, because it's the first of the month, you know what that means. Connie Gruning from peanutbutterandwine.com will be with us in just a few seconds to tell us what's hot and what's not in April. And you know what? There's a lot of great things, because I have to tell you, I was very busy this morning trying to win some of those wonderful things, especially that Target $400 Target gift card is something amazing. Anyway, let's see. What do I have quickly? I had my daughter's baby shower on Sunday, and you all know, if you're listening, I'm going to have a grandson. Yay! Hopefully in a few weeks. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I will keep you posted, and then I probably will be talking about him every week on the show. So I am very excited. The baby shower was lots of fun, and I cooked for 20 people, my second love. Besides babies and toddlers and parents and doing my radio show, I love to bake and cook, and we had a really great time. So also weather. I wish it would get warm wherever everybody is in the East, in the Midwest, still having snow. Oh, my goodness. It was in the 90s in Arizona. A little early, heat wave, but I'm not going to complain. I want to wish everybody some sunshine, because we have a big holiday weekend coming up, whether you celebrate Passover, Easter. You know what? I hope it's wonderful weather for everybody. So speaking about wonderful, I want to welcome my guest, Connie Gruning from Peanut Butter and Wine, since it's the first of the month. So good morning, Connie. I have to tell you, I was so busy. I almost missed saying good morning because I was trying to win things on your site. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you with a good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks.
So this month, we have more giveaways coming later on in the month. Right now, they're a little slow, so there aren't very many on the blog. But there's a really great yoga mat towel on there. There's only 6 days left to enter, so you might want to do this one. This is the top of this yoga mat feels like a towel. So if you like yoga, you're going to love this mat. This mat weighs a lot, too. This is a nice, thick, heavy, and it's by Fit Lifestyle Company. And it's not a boring one. It's a sunset or a sunset over the beach or a beautiful sky with the purples and the blues. It's very pretty yoga mat. It's the prettiest yoga mat I own. The other giveaway that I have is for a really great eye cream for moms. Let me tell you, this is a firming eye cream. This one, I'm amazed. At first, I really didn't see the big difference. But then I took my before and afters and put them side by side. This stuff is really great. It's advanced firming. It's all natural. It's got, I don't know how many. It's like 78 different things, all ingredients that are carefully chosen to get you the really good results. So enter it. Be sure and enter that one. And like you said, the $400 Target gift card giveaway, that will always come in handy anywhere. Other things I want to tell you about are books. I have a new company that I'm working with, and that's Sky Horse, Sky Pony Publishing, and they have the best books for kids. The first one is My Dinosaur is Awesome. This one's written for 3 to 5-year-olds, and I know I've told you guys before that Alice will stop everything to be read to. She'll stop, she'll run, she'll let me cuddle her, and we'll hold it. She lets me hold her while I read to her. These books are great. This first one is by Simon Koster, and it is so cute. These two kids are trying to compete as to whose dinosaur is better than whose. after we were done reading this, Alice turned to me and she goes, Nani, she goes, my dinosaur is better because it eats broccoli.
You know,
And I
let me
said,
interrupt you in case we have first-time listeners. Please tell them who adorable little Alice is, and I love these little words underneath. Leave me alone, I'm reading.
Alice is my granddaughter. I am thoroughly, totally blessed that I got to quit work when she was born to babysit full-time. So her and I spend our days together, and we are, I'm trying very hard to do the homeschooling thing, and so she's my little model. You will see her probably on 90% of my posts.
Oh, and if you're on your computer, everybody go to Peanut Butter and Wine, WHINE right now. This is so cute. She's reading the dinosaur book with Pop Pop, who read it 3 times, and there's a thing that says, leave me alone, I'm reading. She is so adorable.
She did not want her picture taken. She goes, Nana, I'm reading. I'm like, okay, fine. She is. I even took her picture in the Mazda 5 that I've been driving. I've been driving a Mazda 5 Grand Touring.
Okay, Connie, no, this is
minivan.
my question, because I came on the site today, as I do every morning. Did they give you this car?
No, just for a week.
Oh, darn. I was going to quit my radio show and come work with you.
Wait till you see next week's car. Oh, it's even better.
Do they give you gas, too? Do you get to have the gas, or do you have to pay for your own gas?
They give me a full tank, and I don't have to give it back with a full tank. So
this is a
if I go a lot of places, I do have to fill it up so that, I can go places. But other than that, no, it doesn't cost me anything. It's a very cool job I have.
This is
at the end of the Grand Touring post is Alice in her little driver cap.
Oh, well, it's so cute. I don't see the car keys, so I'm happy.
I guess I sent my daughter a picture of Alice. I had her up on her knees, looking over the steering wheel and holding a Starbucks cup.
Oh, how cute.
I'm teaching her how to drive, too, so. While we're going down there, let's go down one more post to Snack and Play Travel Tray. This is awesome. It clips around the car seat, and it gives the kids a place for their food or their toys or their crayons. Everything stays in there. My only real complaint, my only whine about that tray is I wish it had a cup holder. I wish it had a place that, you can put your sippy cups on the side, but if you're like going through a drive-through and you need an apple juice in there, that's not going to hold real well for a juice.
You know what, though? But apple juice is sticky, so maybe you don't want it in the car anyway.
No, you're right. Well, except for this the car's sticky.
That's true. In the Mazda, without the cup holder.
In the Mazda.
I have to tell you, though, Connie, I talked about this on my show a while ago. They had this article about giving your child a sippy cup. I mean, Alice is older, but this could happen to anybody, that you give your child a sippy cup, and you have to be really careful because there was an instance where the sippy cup went flying and hit the child in the head.
Oh.
So be very careful with your sippy cups. Get those lightweight sippy cups if you're going to give them to your kids in the car. They come in a package of 3s every place, Walmart, Target. I mean, I'm not. But anyway, that was pretty scary. Sorry, just an aside. Didn't mean to interrupt you about the sippy cup.
No, that's a good point. I'm going to have to go look for some lightweight ones. I truly hadn't thought of that. Of course, with all the toys in my car, the projectile is going to be bad anyway around.
Well,
so.
These sippy cups are like the least expensive. You look at it and go, that's not good. But you know what? They work great in the car.
You bet. That is a great idea. Okay, I have one more book from Skyhorse Publishing, and that is called Always There Bear. This is from now on, this is my go-to baby shower gift. A copy of this book and a brand new teddy bear, and I think you're set.
And what about my book? Bear. Wait a minute.
Oh, well, no, your book is a given. Your books have to go. I mean, they are.
It's a set.
Absolutely, you must have.
It's a set, bear.
We'd never forget your book. Your instruction book is what's helped me through so many things, like Alice and her bad word phase, and the potty training, which I don't want to jinx anything, but I think we're finally done. So.
Oh, really? Wow. You don't have to drag the bags anymore, or do you have to drag the undies?
I still take an extra pair of underwear, and I found this little tiny seat. It's a little potty chair, and it folds up flat, and you have little liners that you put inside. Perfect. I keep that in the back of the car at all times. Emergency roadside trips, we're done.
That's great. You ought to put that on the site and call the company. That sounds great because, a lot of children are afraid to get up on that big potty when you're out in public and you have to go to the regular restroom. They're scared of the potty. It makes a lot of noise. Anyway, that sounds great.
Yes, and the liners are really great. It has a very absorbent strip down the center of it, so the liquid doesn't slosh or it doesn't go anywhere. So if you're not somewhere where you can throw it away easily, it's not going to get all over your car. I really like that. So let's see, what else do I have for you? I did the snack and play because that one's very important. I really like that snack and play. The next one, of course, is I have two personal giveaways that I do every month because I love my fans. Is the $35 giveaway, which you can have any way you want it, PayPal, a Target, a Walmart gift card, whatever you would like. And then by the end of today, I will have my other diamond candle giveaway, which is a candle that has a diamond ring in it. And it can be anywhere from $10 to $5,000 inside. So that's a good thing to have.
And it's so easy to enter. It has to be on your to-do list when you get up and you turn your computer on in the morning. You go immediately to Peanut Butter and Wine, WHINE, and you know what? Enter everything and look at the site. It's wonderful. I love Connie, and I love her asylum, which are her people.
Thank you.
It's so great. Do you have big plans for the holiday? We have about 30 seconds left. Big plans for the holiday this weekend?
My daughter will be 38.
Ooh.
When did that happen?
Yeah,
so
fast,
happy birthday to my daughter.
Very quick.
That's all we're doing. Birthday celebrations and egg hunts.
And we do not look at our ages when our kids get older. We just get younger because we know more.
She got older than me. Yeah, I don't know.
That's right.
That snuck up on her.
Well, Connie, thanks so much for being on the show. And April, have a wonderful holiday, birthday celebration, and we will talk to you in May. Wow, maybe I'll have a grandbaby.
Yay!
Talk to you soon. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Homeschooling? Have questions? Get your pen and paper ready. It's the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Fridays at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. After a handsome blue-eyed Texan fell in love with Vivian at the Victoria Station in London, she found herself at DFW Airport with a tiny suitcase and a snazzy little duffel bag. Well, 25 years later, she is now happily married to that blue-eyed cowboy. They have 4 grown children ages 24 to 18 who became willing guinea pigs when she unwittingly stumbled upon the world of homeschooling. Wildflower Academy flourished for 15 years. They survived and thrived, and you can too. Vivian will be covering a wide range of issues that face homeschoolers. What do you do with kids in the summer? How to set up your one-room schoolhouse? How obedience is paramount? And what to do with those snakes? Plus, you'll be sharing ideas and insights that she gleaned from other homeschoolers. So join us for an engaging hour with the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Friday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network. Radio with a cutting edge.
Shh. Listen, something is brewing. The beautiful business evolution is coming. The way we do business is about to change. For the better. Forever. This is real business at its very best. On Beautiful Business Radio, you will learn what it means to truly prosper, how to nourish yourself and your business, how to earn what you deserve and make a difference in the world. The tide is rising, the change is here. Discover a new way to live, love, and partner with yourself and your business on Philippa Rowlands Presents Beautiful Business Radio, where you matter and your business thrives. Every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I love talking to Connie Gruning from Peanut Butter and Wine, WHINE. She's with us every month. And I forgot to tell you, go visit her site. Great giveaways, great contests and products. But I forgot to mention recalls this week. There weren't any new recalls, but go to my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. I keep my recalls up to date. And, it's this time of the year in the spring. There are lots of babies born, and you're lucky enough to get, the hand-me-downs from other moms, and they're wonderful. But just make sure they're not on the recall list. We want to keep our children safe at all costs, and don't try to fix something yourself if it's on the recall list. You know what? Call the company. I have the 800 numbers. I have the websites. I have the emails. It's imperative that you look at the recalls all the time. That's why I try to tell you every week. So what else do we have? Well, let me tell you about my guest. When you're a parent, it's tough not to feel like you could do better. You try to do your best, but let's face it, there's chores, there's work, there's preschools. You get up and you didn't have a good night's sleep, or you didn't get any sleep at all. And you know what? And what happens if your child is different? That G word, and you know what I'm talking about, the guilt word. As parents, I have to say, I don't think I ever spoke to a parent, especially a mom, dads don't admit it, if they even have it, that they feel guilty that they're not doing their best job. And that guilt rears its ugly head. And you know what? What are you supposed to do? So if you have a child that is different, it's twice as difficult, I think. And my guest today, Dr. Rita Eichenstein, and I hope I'm saying her name right, wrote this terrific book called Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of Atypical Children. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Rita. She is a noted psychologist and pediatric neuropsychologist renowned in the field of child development, and again, author of Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of the Atypical Child. She's an expert in the fields of child development, special education, and she maintains a private practice in Los Angeles and specializes in child assessment and counseling parents of atypical children. Her life's work has been to reach out and support and counsel these parents. And you know what? She's written for many. She's been on programs. She's written for many sites. Prevention.com, Scholastic, She Knows, Time Magazine. And it's so important because, yes, we do focus on our children, but many times we don't focus on ourselves. And, I say this, and I have chapters in both of my books, Help My Baby Came Without Instruction and Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions, about taking care of yourself. And something as simple, in my books, I talk about when you feed the baby, something as simple as drinking a glass of water. Take care of yourself, taking a shower, having girlfriend time. Well, parents, you know what? Dr. Rita is going to talk about being parents of atypical children and how you take care of yourself. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that G word, which we don't want to talk about because it's painful. So let me welcome Dr. Rita Eichenstein to the show. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very good.
Are you Eichenstein or Eichenstein?
I'm Eichenstein.
You're Eichenstein. Good. I said it right.
Eichenstein, but Dr. Rita works.
And Dr. Rita, I understand. She could be my sister from some.
That's
right.
Well,
we talked about that. She's got the same last name, her maiden name. Anyway, but let's just get right into this because I loved your book and I have so many pages turned down because I have questions. And by the way, if you're listening and you have any questions for Dr. Rita, you can call us at 877-864-4869 or you can go to the chat line and type. But we love callers, so call Dr. Rita if you have a question. Anyway, what is an atypical child?
Well, I coined the term atypical children because there are many children that do meet criteria for diagnoses, such as ADHD, autism, dyslexia, learning disabilities, developmental delays, all sorts of diagnoses. But, Additionally, there are kids that are just quirky, difficult, or unusual, and they don't actually have a diagnosis. And we're seeing a lot of these kids coming through our doors, and the labeling system isn't exactly, it's not good enough. It really doesn't. It doesn't capture the flavor for so many of these children, and they end up getting multiple labels, but the labels don't do them justice, and I prefer to look at all of them as just atypical.
You know, it's tough because, well, how do you know? How do you know your child's different? You know what? I deal with first-time parents all the time, and there aren't any instructions. So how do you know what they're doing isn't typical, is typical, and how do they find you, or do they start with the pediatrician, or how does this all work?
Well, it's such a good question. You know, I have learned over the years that I've worked with parents that parents are equipped with a very good internal Geiger counter, especially the moms. Very good Geiger counter, and often it begins with a niggling feeling inside of them that something's not quite right. So they may mention it to their partner or spouse, and their partner or spouse will say, he's fine. They may mention it to their mother-in-law, who'll say, I saw that too, don't worry about it. And they might go to the pediatrician during their well baby visit or well child 15-minute visit, and they will say, something might be wrong with my child, but I can't figure out what it is. And I've heard from pediatricians that is the dreaded question to be brought up in a 15-minute well baby visit, because it's just not enough time to start exploring this. And so it most often begins with the mom, so that I'll get a call from a mom when the child is already 6, 7, or 8, or 11. You know, there really is no age where I can say it's here. This is where something's going to show up, because the environment is what determines the difference. So that, let me explain what I mean by that. It's not the baby he or she. It is the demands of the environment when they come across to the child in a way that's too difficult for the child to cope with. That's when you see the difficulty. So if you padded your child's world and had a perfect little environment for them, you may never see anything. So the gateway points for noticing differences are at specific times, such as Mommy and Me group would be the first one. Then we'd go into nursery school. That might be a section. Then Introduction to Academics. That might be the next section. And then I found the 3rd grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, when they start to turn the screws a little tighter, that's when things start coming up that didn't show up before. So it's really a interlocking of the child's capacity intermingling with the environmental demands. But see, moms know this. Moms just know this intuitively all along. And I know that because so many moms have been telling me for years exactly this. I've known. And when I confirm what is going on with their child, I'll either do an assessment or do an observation, or I'll do a neuropsychological assessment, which is a full in-depth battery. I'll go, I wasn't crazy after all.
And it's almost a sigh of relief. You don't want anything to be different with your child, but you know, we do know, and we are so intuitive. The minute we have that baby in our arms, we are intuitive, but we have to learn to trust ourselves. But tell me some of the symptoms. Like, suppose a parent has a 4-year-old. You know, many 4-year-olds have tantrums and act out, and many 4-year-olds, you know, there are 4-year-olds that are very shy and sit in the corner and won't talk to anybody.
Right.
How do you know this is like not a normal behavior? Or do you have to wait till they get older?
You never have to wait, really, but we have to be really careful to differentiate between temperament, personalities, and what truly could be a problem. where the human experience is very diverse. Each and every one of us are atypical in our own way, and we manage to get through life just fine. So the little kid who sits in the corner quietly sucking their thumb at 4 isn't necessarily a problem child. But you're looking for there's too many to go into in our conversation now, but you're looking for certain markers, and the best thing to do is to have it checked out. There's many different types of specialists out there that you can go to. And in my book, I talk about being very careful. This is leaping ahead in my book to the phase of bargaining, but I talk about how to be very careful, how to not be sold a bill of goods by the latest, greatest neurodevelopment technique that promises, that your child will be reading and performing and star athlete within 6 months. You just have to, be really careful, because no one is more vulnerable emotionally than a parent, and especially a parent who is terribly worried that something is different about their child. And so in my book, I talk about how to manage your feelings and what kinds of feelings you can expect to go through this process, because parenting a child takes a parent who is wholehearted, open-hearted, accepting, and really, like you said before, really knows how to take care of themselves. And I equate it to a car. When you get in a car for a long journey, you normally check the gas tank, check the tires, make sure the water, maybe do a tune-up. But every day, parents wake up and start this long journey. Do they check themselves before they start interacting with their children? Do they say, well, how am I doing this morning? Am I well rested? Am I feeling grouchy? Did I have a terrible night? Am I going to be a bear? Check yourself at the door when you come home from work. How did I do today? How am I feeling? If you're not ready to go in that house and go on that long journey, which is from 5 o'clock at night till bedtime, which everyone knows is the witching hour, do yourself a favor. Either sit in the car a little longer, take some deep breaths, do some deep breathing, short meditation exercise, or get out of the car and jog around the block. Refresh yourself so that when you walk in that door, you are able to manage whatever your child is bringing you.
You know what?
Because
We have got to go. I hate to interrupt you. We have to go on our long journey to a break. We will be right back.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Welcome to Podcasting by Professionals. My name is Keith with Radio Link's Broadcast Marketing, and I am here today to introduce you to 5 top industry pros who will teach you everything you need to know to start your own professional podcast. At the end of the course, we think you'll be well on your way to becoming an expert host of your own show. By the way, please do visit our website. It is podcastingbyprofessionals.com.
Martha Sanchez, the host of the Mommy to Mogul radio show, empowering women to build a successful business, invites you to join her on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At the ripe age of 5, she was already interpreting information in documents and instructions on forms for her immigrant parents. Now, through her experience and those of her guests, she provides you with valuable steps to empower you to reach financial independence. Martha A. Sanchez is a registered nurse with a Bachelor in Nursing and Master's of Business Administration. She's a business coach, speaker, author, and CEO of Moss International, LLC. Her diverse work experience brings you expertise in areas essential to customer service, social media, and budgeting. The Mommy to Mogul radio show furthers her personal mission of empowering women to help them build successful businesses so they can reach financial independence. Join Martha Sanchez, the host of the Mommy to Mogul radio show, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so excited to have Dr. Rita Eichenstein here today. She wrote a terrific book called Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of Atypical Children. And we're talking about what an atypical child is. And before the break, she shared something that's worth its weight in gold. And I have said it so many times too. But it's tough because sometimes life gets in the way. As parents, you need to take care of yourself. And right before the break, she was talking about checking yourself out when you get up in the morning. Take an inventory. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I don't do that. And it's great even if you have grown children. Doesn't matter. Look at yourself. Think about whether you had a good night's sleep. How are you going to deal with the day? Do you need to take a walk first? Do you need your coffee? Do you need to go back to sleep for 15 minutes? Whatever works for you. But the important part is that if you work and you come home from work and you have to, deal with the bedtime with your children, whatever rituals you've set up, make dinner. If you're not ready to face it, it's tough to be a parent. There's so many things to do all the time. And if you have an atypical child, I can imagine it's a little tougher. So Dr. Rita, that was great what you shared, because we all need to do that. We all need to check ourselves out and see where we are when we jump into the next activity that we're going to do. So,
We do. We all do. But one thing I wanted to add is that some parents might be listening and they might say, well, that's all very nice and good if you do have the luxury of having that cup of coffee. But what if you don't? What if your kid is atypical and is screaming nonstop and I don't have that luxury? And I want to say that I understand that, and there's still a way of saying to yourself, checking in and saying, okay, a little self-compassion. You're not going to get your coffee this morning. It's okay. Take a deep breath and vow to yourself you will make it up later when the child gets into the school bus or when they take their nap. Make a little promise to yourself. You will make up for it later, whatever that means, a grand mocha frappuccino, whatever that is for you. But you can check in with yourself even if you don't have the luxury, and just doing that mindful check-in can help you prepare yourself for the challenge of raising your child.
It's that wonderful word, flexibility, which it's not always so easy to be flexible, but we have to be in this world. There's so much going on for everybody. And I love the fact, because it's almost like you're giving yourself a special gift, that you can't have your coffee at 8 o'clock, but maybe you can have your mocha frappuccino later and celebrate the fact that you're a wonderful parent.
Right, because nobody else is telling you that. There are no gold coins ringing and saying, congratulations, you're a winner, you handled that tantrum so beautifully. You have to tell it to yourself. There's no one around watching this movie, so you have to be that spectator and talk to yourself and say, you know what, I did a great job. Who else could handle that situation the way I did? I'm proud of myself. And as the family gets older, you can also say that at dinner. You can self-announce to everyone around the table. I'm really proud of how I handled, Jimmy's doctor appointment today. I was calm. I was collected. I brought in my list of questions and really handled it well.
That's so important. It's so important. And you do need to make the list. Also, I love the fact that you talk about breathing, because I have to say, I don't know that they do Lamaze so much anymore, but when I learned Lamaze breathing many years ago, I still use the breathing myself. We all have nervous times, and if you just take some deep breaths, you'll be amazed how much better you feel and how you can calm down just in 2 seconds. So I'm happy you talked about breathing. I have a question. So you talk about raising an atypical child requires atypical parenting. What does that mean? How is that different from, being a parent, or is it? So it's the same.
Well, it's the same as being a parent, but with a very important twist. that your child has needs that may not be recognized when they go out of your household, and you are responsible until the child becomes at the age where they can understand what their issues are and where they can advocate for themselves, but you know that you're responsible. Even if it's something like asthma, you know you have to make sure your child has that inhaler nearby and that the people around them know when to administer that inhaler. A child who's autistic, you have to monitor the environment and make sure in advance that field trip that everyone's going on and all the other kids are so excited about, you have to pre-check and make sure it's not going to be too overstimulating. Have a backup plan. What if your child starts to tantrum and gets overwhelmed? Or maybe even you have to always be the field trip mom, and other moms think you're hogging it because, you're just over-involved or a helicopter parent. But you know in your heart that you have to do that. Otherwise, your child might have a meltdown and no one will know what to do with them. So atypical parents carry an extra little stone on their heart. They have the joys and enjoy the successes and participate in every other aspect of parenting, but there's a little twist there.
So let me ask you a question, because I do my videos every week to promo the show, and this week the video was called Please Stop Staring. What do you do when you're out in public and, your atypical child behaves a little differently, or maybe they do have a tantrum? Do you have tips that you give the parents? Because people stare, and some people even come up and go, "What's wrong with your kid?" Which is so rude. I mean, I've seen it happen many times. It's like, whoa, I can't believe you're doing that.
Yeah, well, I live in Los Angeles where differences are expected because people are so different. But I understand that's a very big worry for many parents. I can't take my child to the supermarket. He might misbehave. And I think it's part of parenting an atypical child is pre-priming situations before they happen, not when they happen. So let's say, and we learn from our disasters. So let's say we are shuddering from our last outing to the supermarket where that very rude lady said a very rude thing. You can prime the next time and have a conversation, or think to yourself, what did I do? What was my reaction at that time? How well did that work for me? What could I do? We all think later what I should have said, what I would have said. How can I handle that next time? Because every situation is unique, but you can prime it. And then you can have the same conversation with Billy, little Billy. Billy, remember we went to the supermarket, and by the way, this builds great executive function, which is planning and being able to see ahead and think ahead. Remember we went to the supermarket and you had such a hard time and people were looking and it was so uncomfortable. Yeah. Well, it may not have been uncomfortable for him, in which case that's great. Who cares if it's uncomfortable for you? You just don't want your child's self-esteem to be knocked off base. What can we do? I have some ideas. Let's see what will work. So there's always ways to prime and plan ahead for the next time.
Do you have a pat answer if somebody comes up to you and says something because they don't understand? And believe me, people are not trying to be mean. They just don't understand, and they want to know, why is your child screaming at the top of his or her lungs?
Well, what's wrong with saying the truth?
See, I agree. I think you just say it, and you know what? And that's it. And you make it it's not about them. It's about you and keeping your child safe and getting, doing whatever you came to do. Because it's interesting. I'm looking at your book on anger and blame and shifting the blame away from yourself. And this chapter is great because I am sure so many parents felt this. Don't let this become the guilt trips you should not lay on yourself. I worked full time when he was a baby, and I must have disrupted his attachment process. Pregnancy was stressful. I'm a terrible organizer. I have migraines. There's so many things that you can blame yourself for, which you shouldn't be blaming yourself for. So,
right. We all have baggage. Everybody comes to parenting not as a clean slate. Your baby might be somewhat of a clean slate, but you're not. We all have baggage, and we have to be kind to ourselves and compassionate and understand that the human condition is that we will behave and act in a certain way towards our children. Nobody's perfect. That's why there's resilience. Children are resilient. And if you make a mistake, you can always back up and talk about it. But I found that women, so much more than men, are so eager to blame themselves. It really is a gender thing. And so if women think about that and say, yeah, how come my husband isn't blaming himself? Nobody's feeling guilty here except for me. Well, why is it that women have to find something wrong with themselves that justifies why their child is behaving a certain way or has a certain label? I mean, why is that? What is it about our culture that automatically allows the mom to feel like it's all her fault?
Is it the culture, or do we have that stupid G gene, the guilt gene, that we're born with as women?
Well, it is an interesting combination of genes, hormones, neurotransmitters, and the personality that we bring to the table. But I also think that going through pregnancy, childbirth, and the neonatal period is somewhat traumatic to a woman. Small t, because there's a lot of happiness and joy, but it is somewhat traumatic. And that trauma opens the pathway just a little more for the guilt, the depression, the blame coming in. We have to be really careful about that. And make sure that mom is taken care of really well.
It's back to taking care of yourself, because then again, just the fact that your body's going through so many changes when you're pregnant, and then all of a sudden you have this baby and you look at this wonderful miracle and you're sleep deprived and you don't think you're doing enough, and you might think the house has to be perfect. There's so many things that go on that we don't stop and think, hey, I just delivered a baby and my body is going through changes, and my mind and, my life is different. So
my body is beautiful the way it is.
Absolutely. We're going to break.
So much pressure. Mm-hmm.
We're going to break for commercial in just a few seconds. But, it does all come down to the fact, which reading your book, it's wonderful, because we do need to take care of ourselves first. And it's back to the, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. They've
That's
said
right.
that for years, and it's really true. So I'm so happy you're on this show. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Secret Cuisines and Sacred Rituals is a quest, a place, and a feast. Join host Vilasi Venkatachalam every week to explore myths, mystique, old medicine, and brilliant modern solutions through a dazzling kaleidoscope of cuisines, cultures, and cures. This is the place where tribes gather, strangers and familiars, to be memory keepers and makers of our evolving, enduring, evergreen, spoken legacy of wisdom and ingenuity. In Velasi's words, when we do old things in new ways and new things in old ways, we paint with an inspired palette, weave our own healing traditions, and become our own guru. Velasi is a troubadour of secret cuisines and sacred rituals. She collects stories of wisdom, ingenuity, and grit. She believes wellness and transformation happen when you stand at the threshold of delight and discovery. She displays her hidden penchant for drama when she leads the safari at the supper club. Her favorite pastime is to extol the marvels of cuisines, cultures, and cures. To her audience in workplaces, seminars, and salons, her mantra is, be your own guru. She is a biochemist, botanist, and alchemist who likes to churn delightful, useful things from a brew of art and science, ancient and evolving, old medicine, and new cures. Join Velasi every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
This is Buzz Local Radio. We have the 3 topics here, and we just added a 4th. We just started talking about hot dogs.
Yes. Yep, I'm in a band.
He's in a band. We both had guitars, so I went over to his house Christmas Day day.
We had to start a band.
And I think we wrote 4 or 5 songs that afternoon.
And Cannibalistic Fish was one of them.
Cannibalistic Fish.
I couldn't do the dreads. My mom would not let me wear my pants backwards to school either. That was wiggity whack. Yeah.
Buzz Local Radio. Available for free download on toginet.com. That's TOGINET.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful guest, Dr. Rita Eichenstein, who wrote the terrific book, Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of Atypical Children. And I have this book in front of me, and you know what? The chapters are wonderful. If you have an atypical child, Dr. Rita did not miss a thing. If you read this book, especially I was talking to her during the break, the story at the end will bring tears to your eyes, because I'm not going to tell you what it is. You need to get the book and read it yourself. You'll love it, and it will be really helpful to you. But, you know, the one thing I will say is when we have children, whether they're atypical, whether they're not, when you go into meetings, whether it's for an IEP at school, whether you're going to the pediatrician and you're worried, we always brace ourselves for bad news. And I wish we could brace ourselves for good news, because it's not always bad news. And like Dr. Rita says, you have to trust your intuition. So I do want to ask you a question. What does this do to a marriage? Because before the break, we were talking about women and guilt and how men don't have guilt as much, so much as women. And what does this do to a marriage? This must be tough in many cases.
It's very tough. I mean, the bad news is that the divorce rate among parents of atypical children is quite high. So I believe that is absolutely avoidable. I believe that parents need to establish times where they are just lovers, friends, and partners, and away from their child. I believe in date night. Absolutely irrevocable. Saturday night is date night, and have the babysitter scheduled with a backup babysitter, and make it your own and make it your special place. Do not hesitate to go into therapy together, even if it's short term, because you need your feelings validated, and you need someone to tell you and your partner that you are not crazy, that your feelings are normal and there's a reason, and what can you together do about it.
And you can't blame each other. I mean, I could imagine, your family had this gene, or I could just imagine what goes on sometimes. Right. And you can't blame each other. You know what? You make this beautiful miracle together, and you can work with it. I am so happy.
Absolutely.
Talked about date night. If I could jump up and down without my headphones coming off, I would, because I talk about that so much with parents. You were a couple before you had the baby, and you went out and you had fun BB before baby, and it's okay, and you had girlfriend time, and guys went to sports games, and it's okay. Again, the guilt comes. Throw that out the window. Go have fun, and you can't just be a mom or dad 24/7.
No, you can't. And by the way, girlfriend time, I can imagine that some moms would say, oh my God, that I would almost take that over date night. And it's equally important to have your circle of friends to rediscover who you are without your child, even if it's only for a little while.
There's so many questions I have. Let me ask you though, just I want you to tell my listeners where they can find you and get your book, because I don't want to run out of time if we get on to another topic.
Sure. Well, the book is called Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of Atypical Children. And you can go to notwhatIexpected.info, or you can go to drritaeichenstein.com. Or you can always go to that great place, Amazon.com, and type in Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Atypical Children.
And once you do that, if you go to Amazon, make sure to leave Dr. Rita a review of the book, because I know you'll love it. You know, also looking at your book, you have the stages that parents go through. Do all parents go through stages, or do they jump around? Or do you see this, this is typical for them to go through the stages, A, B, C?
Yeah, no, they're really phases that some parents can land in, and some of those phases I call it traps, like the depression trap. It's just a trap, and I talk about how the brain, from a brain-based perspective, how that happens, that you go from denial into anger, into bargaining, depression, finally acceptance, in a way that, makes sense for individuals, but not all go through these phases, certainly not. However, you might recognize that your spouse is in denial, or that your mother-in-law is angry, or that you become angry or depressed. And if you identify with that phase, there's ways to help you out of that phase. These are all phases.
They're all phases, whether you have an atypical child, whether you don't have any child. We all go through our phases in life. I just opened the page, Bargaining and Seeking Solutions. I promise to be the best mommy in the world. I love this one thing. There's a note at the beginning of the chapter, note to self, make an appointment with a specialist, decide about the diet to try. But I love this. The note to the doctor, who appointed you the world's greatest expert? I'm going to get another opinion. Note to God, if I promise to pray every morning, will you help my son? The bargaining must be so tough. But what hit me, when you find a specialist, how do you know the specialist knows? Because, we all want quick fixes. We don't want our children to ever suffer. How do you know you have the right person? Again, is it your gut?
Oh, yes. Gut is very important. But I have to say something it's such a good question. This expert should say something that resonates with you about your child. In other words, that this expert sees your child in the similar way that you do. So if you go to someone that you feel sees your child totally different and tells you things that just don't jive with who you think your child is, chances are you're not seeing the right person. Because you are ultimately the expert of your child, and you hire experts to guide you in their specific field of expertise, but not in a way that feels foreign or wrong to you. So it's very important that you find the right fit. No. And finding your team and trusting that team is very critical to the success of the child.
And it's okay to leave. You know what? Parents will say, I don't like my pediatrician, but they're going to get mad if I go to somebody else in the practice. You know what? Don't think like that. It's okay. It's your child. You deal with a pediatrician for 18 years. If you just don't click, not everybody clicks. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with anybody. Not everybody clicks.
Absolutely. Put your child first. Always put your child first, and your gut is your armor. And don't apologize to anybody. If you don't like the way the school is treating your child, don't try to be nice and hope that the teachers will like you by being a nice parent. It's not about you. It's about protecting your child. Don't learn that the hard way by waiting. If your child comes home unhappy, check it out. You can be friendly and still check it out.
Right. You don't have to be rude and get angry and do any of that. So let me ask you a question. I know you have 3 grown children. Do you have a favorite parenting tip?
My favorite organizational parenting tip is have everyone put their backpacks by the front door in the morning, the night before. That is so easy and obvious, but very few people do it, and everyone just sort of falls into bed. So if you put your backpack by the front door or in the car the night before, that's a good one. The other one that I feel really, really helped all my children is special time, where we made sure that every night each of them got, and I have 3, each of them got special time with one of us, at least 20 minutes or more, where we would read them or do whatever they wanted with us. It was their special time with us. And I feel that's really important. Such valuable conversations and bonding happens in those 20 minutes or a half hour.
You know,
so
and
I recommend that.
I love the special time, you know, or if you're too tired at night, you can have a special, you know, Saturday morning or whatever works out for you. But it's amazing because your children open up a little differently sometimes when it's just the two of you. You know, when they're with the family, it's different dynamics. So the special time is when you make those great memories.
That's right.
Okay, so 2 wonderful tips, and I love the backpack. You know, the more organized you can be, the better. And for new moms, as soon as you come in from wherever you are, repack your diaper bags so that when you have to leave, they're already packed. I have to say, I'm going to share one of my favorite tips. Have a change of clothes for yourself in the car. You never see parents. Did you ever take an extra top or an extra shirt for your husband and throw it in the trunk when your kids were little?
It's such a good tip. I also say have a change of shoes in the car because women and feet, you know.
I love it. When that baby throws up, it usually ends up between the toes. So on that lovely note, thank you so much for being my guest today. You're terrific. I would love to have you come back. And
anytime.
Again, it's Dr. Rita's book is called Not What I Expected, Help and Hope for Parents of Atypical Children. I will put all her information on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. Thanks a lot. You have a wonderful holiday this weekend, whatever you're celebrating, and I will talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, what an eye-opening show. I have to say, you know what, I just love her book, and it's interesting and helpful, and check it out. Next week, my guest is going to be Grania Kelly. We're going to be talking about something called the bubble bum. Do you know what that is? You're going to have to tune in and find out. Something every parent should have. I'll give you a hint. Safety and travel and in the car. Also, don't forget to check out my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. If you need a little help, I do consults, video in-home if you live in Arizona, and telephone. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. Check it out. I add new things all the time and great pictures. I have so much fun. So every child is special, and as much as we teach our children, we also learn so much from them. I want to leave you today with these wonderful words of wisdom from my previous guest, the famous jollytologist. You know him, Alan Klein. Alan Klein says, laughter can help relieve tension in even the heaviest of matters. And children remind us to treasure the smallest gifts, even in the most difficult of times. This weekend is Easter and Passover. I want you to enjoy your celebrations with your friends and family and create some wonderful memories that will last a lifetime. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend and a great week coming up. See you then. Bye-bye.